I want to welcome everyone today and welcome Ann Kerrigan. She's from the High Holiday Choir, and I appreciate you helping out. So thank you. Welcome to our service. We begin this evening as we join together in singing the Yedi Nefesh. Please turn to page 128.
Yedi nefesh of Arachaman, Yedi nefesh of Arachaman, Meshoch avdeka, Eretz zonecha, Meshoch avdeka, lai 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 lai, Eretz zonecha, Yarutz avdeka, Kemov yal, Yishtachave lai lai lai, lai 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 lai, El mul hadarecha, Yarutz avdeka, Kemov dal, Yishtachave lai lai lai, lai 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 lai, El mul hadarecha.
We welcome the Sabbath now with the kindling of the Shabbat lights. I would like to invite Sandy Gronke to kindle the Shabbat lights as we turn in our prayer books to pages 120 and 121.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu mitzvotav, mitzvianu nehadlik shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue now with the Chatzi Kaddish as we turn to page 144. Yitgadal v'ikadash shemei Rabbah, Be'elma divrach hirutei v'yamlik malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomei Yisrael, Bagala, Agala, Uvizman Kariv, Veimeru, Amen. Yehei Rabba Mevorach, Le'olam Olam Me'omaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei D'Kudisha B'richu, Le'ela min kol berchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiram Yoma, Veimeru, Amen. Please rise for the call to worship, the Baruch Hu, on page 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed.
We read together on the top of page 149. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We read responsively at the bottom of page 151. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives.
What could be a truer token of your abiding love?
Then this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malkuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'lechol levacha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu advarim ha'eleh asher Anochi metzavecha hayom alevavecha Eshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shiftecha b'veitecha u'lechtecha v'derech u'shokbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'od al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha Utatam el mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha lema'an tizkeru Va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'tem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. We read together. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested.
Let them guide the work of your hands.
Keep them in the forefront of your vision.
Do not
leave them on the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. We read responsibly on page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage to Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did.
Together at the top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let
peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will.
Baruch atah Adonai, haparesh shalom aleinu v'al kol
Amo Yisrael
ve'al Yerushalayim.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat. rotam berit olam, beni uvein ben Israel, or hi leolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim vet haaretz uvayom hashivii Shabbat vayinafash.
We rise now for the tefillah on page 164. Adonai sefartativta ufi yagi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagador Hagibor v'Hanorah El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'chonei Hakol V'soher Chasdei Avot V'imahot U'ma'evi Geula Livnei V'neihem Le'ema Shemo Sorry. Melech Oher Hu Moshiach Hu Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Leloam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Mechalkel Chaim V'chesed Mechaye HaKol Beracham Mirabim Shomek Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Memid Umechaye Umatzmiya Yeshua V'ne'emanata lechayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh Ukdoshim b'kol yom yehalelu asela Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. We continue responsively on page 173. Disturb us, Adonai. Ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans.
Shock us, Adonai, deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred.
Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears.
Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality.
Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
let's see Adonai Eloheinu be'amek Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabil u'tehil ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael Yisrael Amecha Karov lekol kore'av pnei elav adeka veganinu shevok ruchacha alinu ותחזינה עינינו בשובך לציון ברחמים ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו
We read together on page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ucha na'eh lechodot.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Israel, Bekol etuv kol sha'a bishlomeka. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarich et amo Yisrael, Bashalom.
We read together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul,
And may the love of your name
hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hambarek et amo Yisrael, Bashalom. We take a moment now to ask for God's healing for those in our congregation and community suffering from illness. At this time, let us pray for Eloise Rapino. And please feel free to share this name of someone dear to you at this time. Richard Neller. We join together now in singing our prayer for healing, the Mishperach, found on the middle of page 371. We pause now for a moment of silent prayer. Have you ever heard the metaphor, life is a journey, not a destination? Of course you have. This famous quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson simplifies how we can look at and engage in our life from birth to death. Although it sounds so simple, most of us know it is anything but. How then is the best way to tackle this feat? Well, singer and songwriter Ed Sheeran believes that, I quote, "The main thing that you have to remember on this journey is just be nice to everyone and always smile," end quote. If only life was that easy. If only we had a map to help pave this way. Well, lucky for us, we do have this said map. It's called the Torah. Each of the 5 books of Moses recounts stories and tales to help us discover the meaning of life and what steps we can take when engaging in our individual journeys. By reading and interpreting what our forefathers and foremothers experienced, both literally and figuratively, their adventures of biblical proportions can help us navigate our journey in modern times. This week's Torah portion, Devarim, is the beginning of the 5th book of Moses, Deuteronomy. At this point, the 40 years of desert wanderings are coming to a close. Moses knew that his end was near, and he wanted to leave the children of Israel with parting words that were filled with love, direction, guidance, and also reprimand. In summing up the story of the Jewish people, from Egyptian slavery to the eve of their entry into the promised homeland, Moses speaks curtly. Without judgment, he reminds the people of Israel of their shortcomings and transgressions during the 40 years that he has led them. Though the 5th book of the Torah contains many commandments and legal matters, the message of the book is one of historic perspective, of the past and of the future, of the weaknesses and inadequacies of the people and their greatness and search for spirituality and holiness. So how can we take these teachings of yesteryears when our ancestors wandered to the desert for 4 decades and pertain it to our lives here in the 21st century? Well, according to Emerson, it wasn't about reaching the promised land. It was about the 40 days and the 40 nights of trekking and experiencing the harsh lessons that life and God graciously presented the Israelites. Our Rabbi Sam spoke many times to our congregation that Judaism is a religion of deed and not creed. It is our duty as Jews to walk our talk and decide how we want to be remembered. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel quotes, "Speech has power. Words do not fade. What starts out as sound ends in deed." This is the message Moses was preaching to the Israelites. Saying and doing are 2 very different verbs. How do you want to be remembered? I am turning 50 in 25 days. On August 30th at 7:11 a.m., I will have been alive for exactly 50 years. I think it is safe to say that I have lived enough years to have experienced many ups and downs that have shaped who I am today. Not unlike most, if not all of you, I have lived through a myriad of experiences. I've had moments of pure innocence and pleasure, like eating ice cream on a hot summer day, as well as disappointment and disillusion, realizing a beloved mentor or 2 were not as they seemed. I have felt both deep love and connection with the birth of my 2 daughters, as well as heartbreak and failure over the divorce of my first husband. I have felt abandoned and lovable, both as a child and an adult. And I have felt cherished and loved completely, especially from my husband and other family members. There were times I had to walk the road alone and experience what life offered me, even though I felt broken and weak. Other times I jumped out of bed feeling like I had something important to offer this world. As a teacher, mother, wife, friend, I have made many mistakes in my life, and I can choose to learn from them and I can choose to be hardened by them. In Judaism, we are given the gift of the high holidays, a time to scan our past year and decide if we're going to learn from our experiences and actions as we continue our journey to going forward. Are we going to forgive those that hurt us? Are we going to apologize for all of the wrongs we have committed? Are we going to celebrate our successes and share these gifts with others? I like to think that I have lived only half of my life, and I still have hopefully another 50 years to romp and play on my path. However, we are only promised today. There may not be tomorrow. I do not know about you, but I want to engage in my life like every day is an opportunity to grow and learn. I know easier said than done. I know this inside body and soul. But as the high holidays are fast approaching, it is important to remember that our actions do matter. Our lives here on earth mean something. When we pass away, our physical body might leave, but our time on earth leaves an imprint. The Torah teaches us that no matter what we are always connected to one another. I would like to conclude by reading a beautiful poem about the impact of an individual life. This poem, titled "The Dash," is written by Linda Ellis. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on her tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of her birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that she spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters most is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect, and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. We now have announcements from Dr. Janine Huttner.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Anne, for helping us with our service tonight. Religious school begins on August 21st at 9:15 a.m. From 11 to 12, there will be the Shomer Shebang. RSVPs are necessary. However, there is no charge for the event. Also, Hebrew school will resume Wednesday, August 24th at 4:30 p.m. And that's the announcements for tonight.
Thank you, Janine, and thank you, Anne, for helping me up here, and thank you, Bob, as always. We are now, where am I? we turn to our concluding prayers as we rise for the Aleinu on the bottom of page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tei gdula le'otzer b'reshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haraton, ve'lo samanu k'mishpekot ha'adama, shelo sam kelkenu ha'kesh, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Please be seated. We read together on page 589. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet be fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
We continue on page 593. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our life burns down in gutters, yet we do not despair. For we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. At this sacred moment of our Shabbat worship, we think longingly and lovingly of the recent deaths of Anora Sukar, Edith Katzenberg, and Chana Tannenbaum, who was taken from us recently during the most recent days and weeks. We name, too, at this time, those whose yahrzeits, the anniversary of whose passing occurs, as on this Shabbat we recall Waldo Aschmeyer, Benjamin Belshon, Hazel W. Fantel, Howard Fink, Audrey Freed, Ruth F. Goldstein, Barry Greenblatt, Zach Judas, E. Mitchell Kaufman, Erica Moore, Sylvia Nessenman, Charlotte C. Paris, Shirley Bell Robbins, Marjorie Romanoff, Hannah B. Romanoff, Ferdinand Roth, Leon Samuelson, Sanford Schwartz, Jenny Siegel, Joseph A. Siegel, Edward Stern, Betty Taylor, Louis Wasterstrom, and Julia Zupnik. We rise now and sanctify the name of God with the words of the Kaddish, found in our prayer books on page 598. Yikadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'olma divrach yute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayochon v'yemchon uv'chayete kol beit Yisrael, ba'agala ubizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'me'omaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitparar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemet kudesha barichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nehemata. Da'amiram v'yoma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shemera Rabbah mim shamayim v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all those who are bereaved here and everywhere, and together we say, Amen. We remain standing for our final hymn, Ein Keloheinu, found on page 626, I believe. Yeah, 526. 626.
626.
In Eloheinu, in Eloheinu, in Malkeinu, in Moshienu, mi Eloheinu, mi Adonenu, mi Malkeinu, mi Moshienu. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Shabbat Shalom.